The Eternity Advisor. The only thing, at least in the latest update, that is able to provide any loadout in any possible way. So here, many people find this confusing. So this time, I'm gonna be here to explain it. So all you noobs know what to do in Eternity mode. Most likely, before facing up against King Slime, it's almost recommended you'd usually have the Aerosox and Pup in the bottle, which you'd usually get from the Devianate in the start of Eternity mode. You're also recommended to use the shiny red balloon, Band of Regen, and Shark Tooth Necklace, which increase your jump height, increase your regen, and increase your armor duration, respectively. But there's also some other enchantments that are part of the mod that can help you out too, such as the Iron Enchantment, which can increase your pickup rate and provide you a well-timed parry that you can use with right clicking. The Ebon enchantment, which can let you create an aura of Shadow Flame. A Cactus enchantment, which can reflect contact damage and make enemies have a chance of exploding when died. Then there's the Palmwood enchantment, is if you double tap the S key on a certain palm tree would spawn on your cursor, which shoots nuts at enemies. Now, normally, you'd use Aerosox against the Cthulhu to run, but they're slower, causing you to get eaten by him as fast as possible. So it's better to have a faster movement speed, like using Hermes boots, Savage boots, and Flurry boots before facing up against the Cthulhu. And also a double jump is recommended, so you could use a Cloud in a bottle, Tsunami in a bottle, Phantom in a bottle, or Blizzard in a bottle, which all grant double jumps, which are all better than each other, but the Sandstorm is the best in my opinion. Okay, but then, after those double jump and speed items, you could also have access to some other random accessories, like the Cross Necklace, which can increase your invincibility rate after getting hit, the Charm of Myths, which can increase your regen and decrease your potion healing time, or should I say potion sickness. The Slimy Shield, which is recently dropped in King Slime, which grants immunity to slime to then later you increase your fall speed, and also grant 2 defense and fall down. And I mean, when you fall down, you could grant slime that falls at your cursor. The 3 out of the 4 enchantments are also used here as before, but except instead of the Ebon enchantment, you can also use the Boreal enchantment, which if you use your weapons, could occasionally spawn snowballs on contact when you shoot. I'm not in contact. Now, after you defeat the Eye of Cthulhu, you're granted the Shield of Cthulhu, which grants a dash, which was originally on the Eye of Cthulhu. No, not the Eye of Cthulhu. The Iron enchantment in the previous update. Before it got nerfed and the Shield of Cthulhu got annihilated from its update. Then you have the Scepter boots, which can which can act just like the Hermes boots, Flurry boots, and Safish boots, but can also grant you flight, which can be made by combining one of those 3 boots along with some rocket boots. A jump in a balloon can also be recommended, like the green horseshoe balloon, pink horseshoe balloon, and white horseshoe balloon, just to name a few. The white horseshoe, the Charm of Myths and Cross Necklace are also included from before, too. Then you have the Agitated Lens, with also drops from the Eye of Cthulhu, which can grant immunity to Berserked, and also when you're below half HP, your damage gets increased, and when you're running or dashing, you can create a trail of demon sights. And you unlock with the Evenwood enchantment from before fighting King Slime, you also can have access to the Shadewood enchantment, which can create an aura of bleeding, and enemies that are bleeding spew blood, which I'm pretty sure can damage other mobs. And the Jungle enchantment, which also grants a double jump, and the Lead enchantment, which has lead poisoning, which can spread to other enemies over time, if the enemy is nearby them, I think. Do I even need to say anything here? It's most likely thinking, that this looks similar to before facing off against the Eater of Worlds / Brain of Cthulhu, but except you have a Bezoar, which grants immunity to poison, which is very useful when facing off against Queen Bee and her spam of stingers and bees. It's visible that the Charm of Myths is also used before facing up against Queen Bee, but you can also have access to use the Worm Scarf, which reduces your damage that you get hit by. Then you have options to use the Gutted Heart, which can spawn creepers, grants immunity to Bloodthirsty, and increase your max hit points. The Corrupt Heart, which grants immunity to Rotting, and summons mini-eaters that seek out enemies. And then you got the Nim's Perfume, which most likely, I'm pretty sure, also grants immunity to Lovestruck, and maybe reduces the time that you have to respawn, but I'm pretty sure that's all I know. But the Shadow enchantment spawns a couple of Shadow Orbs orbit around you, and destroying them causes homing Shadow energy that homes on enemies. Now, by the time before you faced off against Skeletron, your Scepter Boots would have upgraded into Lightning Boots, which moves way faster than the previous Scepter Boots. Then, you can also have access to use the Queen Stinger, which grants immunity infested, and your projectiles turn into stingers over time. And you can also have access to use the Iron enchantment again. Now, it's also recommended that you could upgrade your boots again into Frostpark boots, which I'm pretty sure make you move a little bit faster, along with using the Nim's Perfume before the Devianate, even though it's not experienced with the fight. Along with the other accessories such as the Gutted Heart and Queen Stinger, you can also use the Necromantic Brew, which was recently dropped by Skeletron, which summons 2 Skeletron hands, and also grants you immunity to that buff, that so-called debuff when you go into water, that decreases your speed. And also the Iron enchantment is used here for that Mega attack when she enters her second phase. Now, since you defeated the Devianate, you can create the Lawless Boots, which combines the power of the Speed Boots and the Green Horseshoe Balloon, which is why you kept the Green Horseshoe Balloon all this time. Then you can also create the Supreme Deathbringer Fairy, which has the effects of the Slimy Shield, Queen Stinger, Necromantic Brew, and Agitated Lens. And then you have the Sparkling Adoration from the Devianate that you just fought. Then you have the Obsidian enchantment, which has you immunity to lava and grants immunity to fire blocks, and also, when you're in lava, explosions are created for you to deal extra damage. Okay, now for just some strangely odd and even reason, normally when you use Boss Checklist as one of your mods, you'd normally fight the twins first. But for some bird Jesus-ing reason, you're forced to fight the Destroyer first. I don't know why, but hey, I don't want to jinx myself, so knock on wood. So apparently, similarly, just like as you would expect, the Lawless Boots and Shield Cthulhu are 100% recommended. But also, Frozen or Leaf Wings are recommended, but any wings is good. But just for example, I'd recommend go for the Frozen Wings. But there's also a chance for Ox Shield, just for knockback immunity. Similarly, the Supreme Deathbringer Fairy is also used before, but depending on what class you use, you can use the Warrior Emblem, Ranger Emblem, Sorcerer Emblem, or Summoner Emblem, respectively, for their respective classes. But also there's the Palladium enchantment, which has the effects of that, and the Mithril enchantment, which I'm pretty sure increases your damage and does something that I don't know about, the Titanium enchantment, which I'm pretty sure has the effects of the Titanium armor. And also some Frost armor would be nice. Okay, but seriously, this is legit. Before facing off against the twins, this is legitimately the same thing as the Destroyer, only but this time, the Ox Shield is replaced with the Frog Leg. Even the other half of the zone is the same. But hey, at least you can defeat the twins with ease anyway. Well, this is really stupid. Skeletron Prime basically doesn't want you to use the Ox Shield or Frog Leg. just the Supreme Deathbringer Fairy and all the other items when you faced up against the Twins of the Destroyer. Even the other half is the same again. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this was just a thing for the mech bosses. Maybe Plantera might have something a little bit better in her mind. So, for the fighting Plantera, you're given the option to use the Shield of Cthulhu or Monk Enchantment, just they both give dashes. You can also use Flame Wings along with the 2 wings, so that you can, because it's more powerful, and you're given 3-way options for immunity. The Ankh Shield, because of poison knockback, the Supreme Deathbringer Fairy, because of infestation, and the Pure Heart, and no, not the Pure Heart, the Dubilius Complicity, which can make you inflict Ichor and knockback immunity. You can also use the Pure Heart, which has the effects of the Rotted Heart and the Gutted Heart, and the Hollow Enchantment, which has a shield to protect projectiles, and summons a sword to fight for you, along with the Avengers Emblem to increase your damage. Okay, instead of just boring myself to death, instead of the Shield of Cthulhu, now you can use the Tabby. And instead of the 3 wings before facing up against Plantera, now you can have the option to use Spooky Wings, Tedic Fairy Wings, and the Hoverboard. And also, the Ankh Shield for a instance of many immunities and no knockback for you. But this time, along with these accessories, both the Charmed Mitts, Cross Necklace, Jerusalem, Pure Heart, Palladium Enchantment, and Hollow Enchantment, we got 2 new accessories from the recent Plantera, the Magic Evolved, which increases regen and summons Plantera's child to protect you, and a Love of Flesh, which can increase your sentries and minions, minion damage, but decreases defense, and a Pungent Eyeball, which if you hold anything long enough, fires an extremely powerful laser that can damage multiple mobs, which is kind of like a beta charged blaster cannon, am I right? Now, before facing off against Betsy, and yes, Betsy is considered a boss, you're recommended to use Tabby or the Shinobi Infiltrator enchantment, and because they both give dashes. But in the previous update, the Master Ninja Gear was a gash, but got removed and moved to the, I'm pretty sure, the Supersonic Soul. Then you're also given the option to use the Lizard Treasure Blocks, which grants immunity to burning, Steampunk Wings to make you fly, Pure Heart, and Dubilius Curity for resistance. Now, along with the Lumber Flesh, you can also use the Beetle enchantment, which has the effects of the Shell Armor, along with increasing your flight time, Spectre enchantment, which spawns orbs around you, and if you crit, you might get a healing orb, and a Saucer Control Console, which grants immunity to Electrified, which is going to be useful when Betsy does that attack with spawning all those electric orbs, and also summons a mini saucer pet. Now, before facing up against Duke Fishron, this looks very similar like before, but except you can now use the frog leg and other wings besides the steampunk wings, such as the Betsy wings and hoverboard. Now, unlike before, when you just use the Ankh Shield like you normally would, you'd also be able to use the Destroyer Emblem and the new Adamantite enchantment that can split any projectile that you shoot into 3, and the Betsy Heart, so you can use Betsy Dash, and then you can also inflict Betsy's Curse. What do I need to say here? Nothing, I think. The only thing different is the wings, that you can have the option to use Fishron wings or Betsy wings as your wings of choice. Besides from the enchantments that you used before, you can also use the mutant antibodies that increase the mutant immo, and the Lizard Treasure Box is also giving you immunity to burning, and Betsy's Heart. Again! Well, this might actually look similar to the previous setup, but you can now use Gia Armor, which has an offensive setup that can make you deal more damage but deal less defense. Now, we have a couple of returning accessories, such as the Dubilius Curity and the Betsy's Heart, the Sparkling Adoration. And last but not least, the new Celestial Rune, which you recently got from the Lunatic Cultist to face off against the Moonlord with. Now here's where things start to get complicated. You still use the Gia armor from before, but now you can have the option to use the Solar Enchantment or Supersonic Soul, because they both are able to give dashes. But both of them are recommended because the Supersonic Soul make you go fast, and Solar Enchantment makes you basically dash anywhere. Or, I mean, any direction, that is. And you can also use the Flight Mastery Soul because it grants you infinite flight time. Then, you have a bunch of also other defensive and class-orientated ones, such as the Colossus Soul. I mean, the defensive one is known as the Colossus Soul, just due to state on survivability. And then you also have the option to use the Berserker Soul, Sniper Soul, Arc Wizard Soul, and one more soul. That last soul you have to use is the Conjurer Soul. And yes, this is all the items that you have to use before facing off against the last champion. And you can also use the Nebula enchantment because you can cancel damage over time, which can make you deal 45% damage and 9 HP's full on stack, along with the Pure Heart and the Heart of the Eternal, with the Curse of the Moon Immunity and something else. But I don't know why you need to use the mutant antibodies twice, but who am I to judge? Sparkling Adoration is also recommended here. The Terra Force, which gives you the Iron Magnet to pull booster from the Magnet enchant, and the Tin Crit, with the Force of Life, because the Spider enchant minion crit with the Tin synergy, the 5 DR in one hit, and regain back health. Along with some extra help from the Force of Spirit and Force of Earth for healing attack every hit, and Hollow Shield, Hollow Sword, and increased minion speed, Spectre Orb, heal and damage, and Fossil Revive, respectively. Now, the pre-Abomination stage looks exactly similar to the pre-Endurus Champion of the Cosmos stage, but this time you can use the Force, the Cosmos, because you can use Solar Dash, Nebula Booster, and Time Stop. Flight Mastery Soul and Colossus Soul are also cool and recommended over the Supersonic Soul. But everything from here looks quite the same. But, however, there is one more accessory that we haven't talked about that is also here. But then, yeah, this is the enchantment that I was talking about. The Force of Nature, because of Shumai Chance Shroom and Frost Icicle that can inflict shield to the enemy. So, stuff aside, the Soul of Terraria enchant effects are upgraded to cancel the DOT from the Nebula enchant effect, and the Iron enchant synergy is also here. You can also use the Soul of Its Siblings, which has all the effects of the Eternity Mode accessories. And then there's the Soul of a Universe, which is extremely powerful in every which way. Moving on to the home stretch of the endgame products, you can now use the Soul of the Dimensions and any respective class soul like before. And then there's one last accessory before the final fight, the Abominable Wand, which increases the crit strike gained from the Sparkling Adoration, and the HP and 1 HP Endure as a revival from after you get obliterated by the mutant. I mean, not by its last phase, I mean before its last phase. And as for the end game, only a few things are new here. Those being the True Mutant Armor, Soul of Eternity, and when we get past all of these things, you can finally use the Mutant Eye, which increases the Gray's bonus crit damage cap and release Revelay from the Sparkling Adoration. And that's the Eternity Advisor explained. Subscribe.